Hey guys, welcome back to another Minute with Drew. So guitar players, I have a bone to pick with you. Stop stealing all the cool effects pedals. Like, as a keyboard and synth player, the only pedals we really ever use are reverb and delays, maybe some chorus and light fuzz if we're feeling really experimental. But come on, let's be real. There are so many cool pedals out there that I really want to plug my synth into and just wail away on. Like, give me the funky pedals, like the plasma distortion pedal or Klon, or even the Miku pedal that makes a guitar sound like an anime girl. Like, come on, that sounds like so much fun. Also, guitarists, stop stealing all the cool amps as well. Like, I want to play Jump with the tube amp, but I can't because I'll blow the amp and there's too many low frequencies. But like, come on. All I really want to do is plug my synth into a Boss heavy metal pedal and run it through a Marshall stack just to see what crazy tones will come out. Is that really too much for a lowly synth head to ask? Well, besides that, today on the show, I give my first interview. Who would have thought? I talked to Max Feinstein about his new album, Redefine, as well as his experiences dealing with hemophilia. Hope you guys enjoy it. See ya. Hey guys, welcome to another episode of the Gear Guys podcast. Today I'm interviewing Max Feinstein, who's involved with some really great awareness campaigns right now, as well as some great music he's putting out. How are you, man?
I'm good. It's a little rainy out, but like feeling cozy. You have a good day?
Yeah, I had a good day, man. Good day. Well, first of all, man, what kind of campaign are you running?
So March is Bleeding Disorders Awareness Month, both nationally and in the state of New Jersey. So I'm sort of using that time to announce my new record, Redefine, and to just kind of get the community excited about it. This is perhaps the first time that I've written about hemophilia, which is a disorder I have in any real way. So I'm just trying to get people excited about it right now, you know?
Okay, that's really interesting, man. And for people that don't know, what is hemophilia?
Hemophilia is a bleeding disorder in which the factor, depending on which kind you have, it could be 8, 9, but you're missing a clotting factor in your body, and you can, there are complications of that. The one that I find most important to talk about is that you can spontaneously bleed into your joints. So
that does not sound fun.
In like my life.
Yeah, that does not sound like a fun thing to happen.
No, sir.
Yeah. All right. So what are some ways this affects you on a day-to-day life? Because I feel like in some ways, when people are running awareness campaigns, they don't really talk about how a certain affliction affects them in day-to-day life. So how does having hemophilia affect you in like day-to-day life?
The one thing I would say immediately is this rain is murder on my joints right now. Like it's just it's that old cliche about arthritis and the weather. I have a pretty bad right arm, so I've been feeling it all day, and I didn't really realize it was going to rain until later, and I was like, oh, that might be why I'm feeling terrible.
Oh, wow. So I read on an NJ.com article you did an interview with that you had to adjust your playing style somewhat in order to how did that come about?
You budget your time for one thing, so you got to try to make certain things count. But one of the big things that I've done is this kind of doodle here. I got this thing. It's called a drop strap.
Okay.
And it attaches to my guitar strap, and I can just kind of hit this button and make the guitar lower, or just bring it up and not have to really adjust a whole lot, which is good for me because my elbow is just shot completely. So wherever it's comfortable on any given day is where I'm going to have to be.
Okay.
Otherwise, I would say that I just ended up focusing a lot on left-hand stuff, and just sort of seeing what I could do, whatever it is I could do with the right hand. I wouldn't say it just made it harder, you know?
Well, yeah, if you're basically down a hand, you know?
Yeah. Some nights it felt like it.
Really? Yeah.
You do unhealthy things sometimes when you play through the pain, not just for me, but for anyone. Like, sometimes we just don't listen to our bodies.
Well, yeah, definitely. Like you see all these football players or basketball players that play through injuries and stuff, and they come out worse on the other side. So,
oh yeah.
So yeah,
but I get it. I get it. I've been that guy. I used to get all noble about it, and I may again when gigging happens.
Well, yeah. Well, it's for the music, you know. You think in
Yeah,
your head, oh, you got to get through it for the music, but really, you just got to watch out for your body.
pretty much. You get this thing in your head about feeling like you're going to be a liability to the people you're out with, so
Okay,
you want to power through.
well, that's fair. That's completely understandable. You want to
Been
be
there.
big, strong, and tough, so you're not like, oh, my arm is
Yeah,
hurting.
because you might not get a call next time. That's sort
That's
of
a
been
very
my
true.
experience. Is that if somebody views you as a potential liability to the operation, you might get sidelined for somebody whose blood actually works, um, which is fine.
Yeah.
That's all well and good. Eventually, thankfully, right now I've been able to just rehabilitate my arm during COVID and just kind of again just work on this record,
Oh, yeah.
which didn't start out like a hemophilia record, but kind of became one.
Okay. Um. So yeah, like I know you were talking about how it's so easy to be replaceable as a professional musician. Like my background, my dad's played trombone on Broadway, and he always told me stories of how
Oh yeah,
basically one wrong note and you're basically out of there. So I guess it
yeah,
kind, yeah. So it really sucks in your case, especially if it since it's something you really can't control.
yeah. I mean, I'm lucky. A lot of people are very compassionate, and it's never actually cost me anything. But that
Mm.
worry really is a very, very big motivator in trying to just make sure you're with it.
Well, yeah, yeah, it totally
Yeah.
would be.
The other way would be to be the guy writing the songs,
Yeah,
so you can dictate the pace a bit better. That's sort of been one of the motivators.
true, true. You can't really fire yourself from your own band.
Some days,
Yeah, yeah. All right. So, what are some like simple things that someone without hemophilia would be able to do that someone with hemophilia would have to watch out for? Like you said, it's rough with like clotting and stuff. So, like scratches and bruises and stuff like that, you have to watch out for.
I mean, yeah, but the thing that I want to call more of an attention to would be the 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 more common, as I said, the bleeding into the joints. While that can happen with something traumatic, it can also happen spontaneously.
Mm,
So like it's not even what you do; it's how it seeps into your ordinary life. Like I've lined up and shot in pool
hmm.
and like injured my elbow doing that.
Oh
I've
wow.
applauded at a concert and injured my elbow. We are, as human beings, these magnificent factories where the blood is going through your body, even though we're sitting in chairs, the blood's going through the body all the same. As it's bumping around, circulating through our system, it is bleeding and clotting on a microscopic level. So, like, you don't even know it's happening to you. So, in that process, if I don't have one of those little chains that activates that next part of it, then that little bleed can become a big problem without much cause.
Oh wow, really? So you could really be doing like nothing and the pain would start up.
Just chaos, pure chaos.
Really? Like, is it like debilitating pain sometimes?
Imagine, if you will, that you couldn't extend your elbow all the way. Like that, there was something maybe shaving about 15 degrees extension off that, and
Oh
like
wow.
then imagine having to carry that around without any. Yeah, so it's there's pain because there's blood in a place where it shouldn't be, and that hurts. But then there's also the pain that I'm really trying to work on in my life right now, which is the all the areas where it compensates, like the
Hmm.
in here and up here for over here sort of thing. That's a rabbit hole, man.
Really? Yeah. Well, okay. What are some things you're really looking to tell people through your music and through hemophilia awareness?
Eh, that we exist by and large. There's maybe 35,000 of us in America, and our story is largely tied to the story of AIDS. So I'm looking to provide a presence beyond AIDS to contextualize a really not well understood blood disorder. Uh, mm, you know,
Hmm.
for the community itself, the bleeding disorders community, I'm here to sort of tackle uh, mental health. I'm here to tackle my own process as a human being because I'm not alone in what I go through
Yeah.
there, and even broader than that, I'm not alone in the sense of the human condition. We all sort of approach life, same well for everyone to drink from. We just get there all differently.
Oh no, I completely agree with that, man. And I'm assuming you going through all this awareness and talking to other people about your condition helps you understand your own condition better.
It helps me to externalize it. It makes it less of a big deal for me to be able to say things like, oh, my blood just doesn't work. It won't get itself together. It's incompetent.
Mm-hmm.
Finding fun ways to make us to riff on it, basically.
Well, yeah, definitely. And how has all that affected you musically, like through writing?
I didn't want to write about it for a long time.
Oh, really?
It was something that really just it has you. Some
Mm-hmm.
days it really feels like it has you at its beck and
Mm-hmm.
call. Like you could be out, you could do everything right, you could manage your care correctly, and still something breaks through, and you have to, sideline yourself to deal with it. And you have, maybe you were really feeling yourself that day, or maybe you were on a nice hot streak and this came out of nowhere. And really, it'll take the wind out of your sails.
Yeah. Well, it certainly seems like it. Oh,
It's not fun, and with when it was just dominating you, you don't want to give it any more power, or what you think is giving it more power by like writing about it. And I never had the right
yeah.
words till I guess I just started with COVID not having any real opportunities to gig or play out. I just had more time to write, and I eventually just started to hit words that I liked that ended up being I'm processing this now, aren't I?
Yeah.
Okay, you know.
All right. Yeah. Well, sometimes I wonder if you've noticed this. Like sometimes writing about it and externalizing our feelings really makes us get closer to ourselves and really understand deeply how we're feeling, where maybe we won't really if we're holding it in.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I wasn't ready. I didn't have enough distance from it, I
Mhm.
guess, and enough time. I just kept distracting myself, and now I get it. Now I'm in a good place with it, and it's kind of like I had to find the right words to say, sort of thing. So I just sat there and found them.
Well, yeah. Sometimes a lot of people just have to sit there and just find the right words to it because a lot of times it's not really easy to understand with really any disease you may have.
Or just anyone's relationship with themselves.
No, that's completely fair. That's completely fair. Now, at what point in your musical career did you realize, hey, this is something that I'm going to have to work on and something that I'm going to have to actually try to fix instead of just dealing with it?
Honestly, like a year ago.
Really?
Like I was basically the second I got the arthritis diagnosis at 21. I'm 32 now, and when I got that diagnosis, I was like, all right, if the thing's already messed up, then I'm just gonna do whatever I want to do, and I'm going to figure it out for myself if nobody can really help me with this right now. So I just
Okay.
kind of I coped with it in some bad ways, and I forced myself to a high standard of perseverance, but I just kind of kept going in almost nonstop motion for like 7, 8 years.
Was there a moment like while playing or whatever that you were like, okay, I have to get this fixed now? Like there's no more just sticking with it. I have to fix this right now. Is there like a moment in your mind that's sort of the place in time that was like, hey, I need to fix this right
It
away?
was yeah, yeah. There was a moment in like April, May of last year where it had been just enough time where I had been out of work. I had tour dates cancel. I had the prospect of work, not coming back, and I wasn't moving. I wasn't active, so I just got very stiff on the overall, and I was like, I don't have any. It hit me. I didn't have any real techniques to cope with that. Like I had nothing really going for me other than just this sort of really unhealthy motion that I'd had for a while. So when all of that was taken away is when I was able to say, hey, none of that is healthy.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. That's done that to a lot of people, COVID and having to sit inside, just really thinking about basically where your life is at and basically
Yeah.
how you're dealing with your daily life.
I mean, how'd it do for you?
Pretty good. Pretty well, okay. Okay. COVID really made me sit down and think about a lot of things. I'm as I'm guessing it did to you with your hemophilia and stuff. Well, for you, it came out of an entire album.
Yeah,
So
really.
yeah. Okay.
But you stayed safe.
Oh yeah, stayed safe throughout the whole thing. Yeah, didn't
Good.
get it all. Did you have any experience with anyone with COVID?
Um, my brother's got it right now, and people close to me have had it. My wife and I stayed safe so far.
Yeah. All right. Well, we're going to take a little bit of a break to hear from our sponsor, Novel Global. When we come back, we're going to talk about Max's new album as well as some of the gear he is currently into and using to make his music. We'll be right back. Here at Novel Global, we are the industry leader in fine jewelry craftsmanship. Our handcrafted and custom designed rings, meticulously crafted from the finest precious metals, are perfect for all of your needs, whether that be for an engagement, a wedding, or for everyday fashion. All of our rings are made in America and have been since 1988. Okay, guys, welcome back to the podcast. Again, we're here with Max Feinstein talking about his new album, Redefine. So, Max, walk me through the process of writing the songs for this album, as well as how you put it together.
It's still kind of showing me things about itself. Like the record's technically tracked,
Mm-hmm.
but I'm still learning things about the record, and what certain things mean. It started very loosely affiliated. Maybe I would have done something in, if COVID hadn't happened, but it wouldn't have been particularly good. I think I was going to force something out.
Mm-hmm.
And some of the songs have their sort of history there. But I've had a bunch of songs kicking around in my mind for 7 years or so, just things that never made it out of the gate. Because I've been playing with bands and I've been doing other things, but these guys just hadn't really clicked yet. And so I got to clicking them, then just kind of put them in an order that felt right. Like, it says there's this that the most important tracks are like the first and the last track on the record, which are cool and all.
Mm-hmm.
But for me, the sequencing on this record's been really. I've even gone into like literary contexts to figure out how this thing moves forward. I haven't given it a true plot, but like it's got an abstract one, and that's sort of what's following.
Well, that's really interesting. And yeah, through COVID, a lot of people have really had the chance to just sit down and, if they had little riffs or thoughts, actually put it into a song or into an album.
Yeah.
So it's cool that you were able to do that. Now
selecting them.
Yeah. Now you said that when you started writing this record, it really wasn't about hemophilia to start out with.
No, it was just I wasn't even sure it was going to be a record. I didn't want to do a record unless a record made sense, and in some very arbitrary but very distinct ways, 7 songs revealed themselves out of about 12 or 13.
Mm-hmm.
And that was kind of like, okay, so these songs sound good together. That's a record. What does it mean? We'll figure that out along the
way. Okay. It's really interesting. Now, you sent me some of your rough cuts earlier, and man, I really love them.
Oh, dude.
Like honestly, some of my favorite stuff right now. If I'm being honest, I have a record player downstairs. Honestly, if you're coming out with vinyl, get me a vinyl version of it.
I mean, I'm definitely getting motivation. If I get the funding right, I want to do vinyl.
Yeah, CD or vinyl or whatever. Get me a copy because I love some of those songs, man.
Appreciate it. I've had a lot of fun, and they've all kind of taught me something about myself. That's sort of been the mindset, is like figuring out some problem to solve with songwriting, because I haven't found solutions anywhere else.
Mm-hmm.
And what's fun about it for me is I don't know, like I have given less about tone in this than ever before. Like I just sort of set up a couple of amps and just kind of went with what sounded okay. I'm not being terribly precious.
Okay. Well, that's really, yeah, it is really interesting. And you talked about problem solving. That's really the big problem. That's really the big thing with songwriting, right? Is you come up with these little parts of it and you have to kind of push them together like a puzzle.
Some things feel like they naturally want to fit, though. You know, some things for me, it's a lot of it's about this pulse. You know, and just figuring out where this pulse is, and if you don't lose that pulse, nothing you do is wrong.
Yeah, that's fair.
You know, you can do all sorts of fun things if you just like if you know what your pulse of a song
Mhm.
is. And that's sort of been the theme of this record is what was I doing that I could see like you just sit there doing whatever except more accurately, but
Yeah.
20 minutes would pass and you'd just be focused on and you want to get it just right, and it was almost like a rubber band stretching. And so having a bunch of songs that felt like that was really just sort of that drive.
Okay. And speaking of, having that groove and adding other things, I noticed that on most of the songs, it's really not just a band. There's a lot of other like white noise effects and synth effects that come in.
Well, you can
What kind of like bands were you inspired by that had those extra effects thrown in and not just a bass band?
Well, I would say that there's a bunch of Incubus that takes advantage of that sort of area. Like especially, I was listening to a lot of A Crow Left of the Murder on this record, and there's a lot of sort of white noise experimentation, white and pink noise sort of stuff in there from the guy normally known as the turntablist, and I appreciate that. I'm also kind of big into Mars Volta, and they just are all about assaulting everything.
Mm-hmm.
Their stuff has this sort of a lot of people would call it overpowering, but frankly, to me, when I think about like records like Bedlam and Goliath or Deloused, or even Nocturnicate, where you're toning each song and you're sort of setting this visual spectrum for the ears, and I find that compelling.
Yeah, no, definitely. Talk about assaulting the senses. Like, I found myself listening to your album, just listening to all these different noises that would just come across the spectrum, And as a synthesizer player, I really appreciate all those white noise effects, all those little synth effects. Really great job, man. Really great job. Honestly, I can't give you enough praise over this
Thank you.
album.
It's funny on that with the white noise. That's a personal fun thing for me to do. I have a Rogue,
Oh,
and
really?
so just like this old school like
Oh, yeah,
early
that's old.
'80s mode. You know, all I'm doing is just raising and lowering maybe two. Just put it on the white noise and just mess with the envelope for a while. And you just try to. It's kind of on a guitar delay pedal. You can do something very similar with the feedback selection on that thing, and then you start tweaking the timing on it, and you can really get some nice oscillations. I think it's a lot like that.
Oh, yeah. It's a lot of fun. Like, I have a couple of synths downstairs. And the thing about analog synthesizers is that it's so easy to just turn a knob and get a completely different sound or a completely cool effect and stuff.
Yeah, it's not my world, but I have a lot of fun playing in it when I do.
Mm-hmm.
And when you're not trying to be, I'm not particularly melodically inclined on those things, but I do enjoy the noise making of it. And what's fun about those, where the next experiment in the record lies, is uh, I've discovered that those things play very well with arpeggiator type effects as well. Those white noise clusters might be a good palette for me to use. There's a plugin, an Eventide plugin I've been enjoying called Quadvox, which is basically just a four voice arpeggiator. And you can tune it. You can literally tell it, it gives you a staff and you can drag the notes where you'd like it if you'd like. But you could also just set it to like E Lydian and just have it mess around. And if you're just doing stuff where you've just got, I tried it on guitar with just like a sort of stuff. But like again, when you've got something with too much of a pulse in that way, or too many other melodic components, it's a little skewed. So if you just have something that's just making white noise in the background, a melodic arpeggiator sort of thing might actually grab it a bit better.
Yeah, definitely, definitely. I mean, that's a thing about a lot of really famous synth sounds. Like, I know "On the Run" by Pink Floyd is just basically sequencer and just playing with the filter and stuff. So a lot of
Oh yeah,
classic synth noise things is just playing with filters and envelopes and stuff.
that's the best part. I love to create the world. Like that's a big theme on this record is the world, in the sense of just like world building is sort of a big deal to me. I'm trying to make in this record something that feels immersive.
Oh yeah, definitely. And that's a great word, immersive. And I love the way on the record you use just organ and guitar and synth stuff and just pile it all on top of each other. It's not just, one blank thing. It's all there for a reason.
Yeah, I like a layer. Thank you for noticing that. I like when you can have sort of, it almost sounds like they're three separate takes of the same part, but everybody's doing their own thing that distinctively. I I'm experimenting with that sort of thing now. I'm experimenting with sort of bigger guitars and really trying to be very specific with things. So like while it's still pretty dense, we're really, like you said, we're trying to grow it.
Yeah. You know what it really reminded of? It really reminded me of some old jam bands that just basically play what they want, but it still sounds like it's still a coherent thing. You know what I mean?
It's funny. That's funny. I don't have a lot of direct jam band influence,
Mhm.
but a lot of my friends are big on Fish, big on Dead. They're big into that sort of thing, and I could see how through their music I picked up a thing or two.
Oh yeah, definitely. And it's not just like a lot of times, the organ player will just be playing chords in back of it. A lot of times the synth stuff will be just chords in back of it. But I love how you incorporated all these different instruments to be playing their own line, yet, more the whole is more than its pieces.
Yeah, we had sort of an open dialogue about it. There were times where I wanted some very specific things, but by and large, I just kind of let people do what they were doing, and generally the music sort of dictated what I was after to the people who were playing it with me.
Okay. Okay. All right. Now into the point of the show, the gear. So what kind of gear are you really into using right now? And what kind of gear did you use on the record?
So the record was recorded with my I use Reverend guitars, and they were recorded with this guy here, which is an Air Sonic uh, with a floating bridge.
Mm.
And that's sort of like, to me, if I were going to compare it to one of those F branded guitars, it's sort of like a Jazzmaster sort of thing. I find it sort of jangles, but it's hefty. And I've got two of these neck pickups in it rather than a neck and a bridge. I just sort of like that a bit better.
Mm-hmm.
Just sort of, I don't know, something about a neck pickup in the bridge. I just sort of like how that feels.
Mm-hmm.
And these guitars are just super comfortable, and they're 12 string, which is all over this record. Is one of my favorite instruments. They stay in tune very well, and the people are incredible. What's not to like?
Yeah.
Uh, from there, kind of low watt combo amps are most of that record's sound. One of them has this fun tube reverb harmonic tremolo going just completely wet the whole time.
Mm-hmm.
So that way, we can have a completely wet to blend with two other amps, and with a whole bunch of different melodicism from the effect. There's also this fun suitcase amp that a buddy loaned me called a Sarge. And a Sarge is made out of old Hammond pieces,
Oh
apparently.
wow.
Yeah, so that's a fun amp, so it was nice to get to use that. Uh, Otherwise, when I did overdubs, I was using the Neural DSP Corey Wong stuff just because I wanted a change from like the triple tracked amplifiers and just kind of like single track stuff here, where it was just kind of a lot of padding stuff, stuff like
Mm-hmm.
that, or in some cases, some there's not a whole lot of lead guitar on the record, but
Mm-hmm.
whatever lead guitar there is, I tracked here basically.
Okay. Interesting. Interesting. Now about that guitar you're holding.
Yeah.
Does that guitar affect your hemophilia at all? Does it
Um,
help it? Does it hurt it?
it is about as comfortable a guitar as I can play.
Mm-hmm.
I enjoy this guitar for the way it feels on the neck.
Okay.
I dictate most of my decisions based on that,
Okay.
and just the way it sounds. It's a very easy thing to play, so I can imagine myself playing it for long periods of time.
Mm-hmm.
You know, at that point, it's whatever stays in tune and what feels good.
Yeah.
And you'll just kind of force it however you need to.
Mm-hmm. I mean, are there like any brands of guitars or any kind of guitars you play that's really a pain to play because of your hemophilia?
I
Or
mean, whatever's comfortable. So in this case, I'd say the Reverends have definitely been a very consistent element of my life. I wouldn't play something if it hurt to play.
Yeah.
And there are definitely some models of theirs that I don't like, but I love them and I love that they do what they do. You know, not everything's going to be for everybody.
Yeah.
But for me, one of the big things that helped me was compressors. Getting to know how compressors worked and not feeling like I was just bashing away at the thing the whole time. So learning how to build tone was a bit more important necessarily than a brand.
All right, cool. Well, we're running up against the clock a little bit, so thanks, Max, for giving us a little bit of your time for the interview. By the way, where can people go to help with this hemophilia awareness campaign?
So you can go to givemeanh.com. And if you would like to be a part of the record, you may cheer the letter H into your phone, and we'll make it a big old down-home pep rally. Otherwise, you can go to maxfeinstein.com.
All right, great. Well, thank you guys for listening and watching. Make sure you guys look out for Max's album Redefine out soon. Also, check out the Redefining Hemophilia campaign and go see how you can contribute and help raise awareness about hemophilia. Hope you guys have a great day or night or whatever time it is for you guys. And see you guys in the next episode. See ya.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's time for Ricky's Picks.
Well, hey guys, I'm back again for another edition of Ricky's Picks. Love the camera angle, probably the worst one on the internet, but you got to deal with it. I scour Spotify for some of the best unsigned, underappreciated, or just unknown bands to the American audience. There may even be a hit or two amongst the bunch. Imagine that. Going to kick it off with the Young Hearts, Still Wander. They're a nice UK band, solemn lyrics, cool beat, good melody. They've been around a little while, but it sounds like they found their footing. Nice to see. I have a hard time saying this band's name. I get a little spittle in the corner of my mouth. But the Moon City Masters, their song Taking It Back, it'll make you smile whether you like it or not. You're going to forget your troubles and you're just going to bop along. Cat Stevens said it's a wild world out there. It is. This will make you forget it all. We have Mammoth WVH. It's Eddie Van Halen's son, Wolfgang. His song You Are to Blame is a chugging follow-up to that beautiful tribute to his dad's. I dare you to listen to that song and not cry. This is completely different. It's a chugging rocker. If I haven't mentioned that before, I probably have. But you know what? We're going to say it again. Chugging rocker. Say it 3 times. Chugging rocker, chugging rocker, chugging rocker. If you like Shinedown, if you like that mid-2000s sound, this is just for you. I love this song. Cadillac 3's Road Soda. Rock guitars, country-style lyrics. Have you ever been to a Waffle House? They have these lyrics, she's sweeter than sweet tea. That's all you need to know. And if you've been to a Waffle House, you will know. Drink that sweet tea, it sticks to your teeth. Hot Breath's Bad Feeling. Part glam, part punk, part garage rock. It's all fun. Up next, we have the Dust Coated Jimmy 2 Times. It's a funky tune that tells a story. It's kind of like Smooth Criminal, a little harder. Be sure to check out their very entertaining video on YouTube. Suddenly I pause for no reason. Again, we'll take care of an editing, or maybe we won't. It's all right. We'll just keep going. King, Never Give In. How does a UK band have such a Texas rock sound? I don't know, but they do it pretty well. I dig it. Johnny Monaco's LA Vacation. I just rediscovered this. This was from a few years back. It's Elvis Costello as if he was born and raised in California, throwing a tiny bit of Brian Wilson, throwing a tiny bit of 90s of that pop punk. I think it's biographical, but you know, who am I to say? PJ Farley's Let It Rain. It's jazzy, it's laid back. I start off sipping the wine when I listen to this song. I'm chugging it by the end. The guitars kick in. It's got a lot of layers. PJ was part of the classic 80s hard rock scene. He's really come a long way. I dig it. We have the Dead Daisies, Holy Ground. Well, holy moly. These are veteran rockers. They're showing the kids how it's done. It's a real all-star lineup, but they don't sound rooted in their classic sounds. Glenn Hughes' voice still cranks. He's been in Black Sabbath, Deep Purple, too many bands to mention. He's better than kids a third of his age. And yes, he's been around that long, but there are singers out there that are a third of his age. Finally, we have my favorite band from Manchester. These lads, Thunder. Last one, Turn Out the Lights. Danny Bowes delivers a great vocal. He's got urgency. He doesn't sound out of place with today's Black Honey, Dirty Honey, the honey bands. There's so many honey bands out there. It's diabetes for music, I guess. These are slightly older guys doing their thing. Welcome back. Their last album was Too Laid Back. This one is just rocking right along. Want to be considered for Ricky's Picks? Email me your Spotify link, rick@gearguyspodcast.com. I'll see what I can do. Send me a t-shirt. Hey, I'll wear it on the air. Thanks. Be well. Sorry for stinking.